Hi, my name is Ash Borland. I'm a mortgage business coach and I help mortgage brokers simplify success. And today I'm really excited to join Kelly and Warren here talking all about tech in the current mortgage market and the protection market if we get a chance to do it. It's all around this idea of the industry voice around mortgages. And I've actually got an article, if you want to go and check that out, where I talk about some of the stuff we're doing in here and also other topics that are definitely relevant to the mortgage industry. So let's introduce the people we're talking to today. Warren.
Hi, I'm Warren O'Connell. I'm Head of Business Development at IRESS, so I run the distribution sales here for the sourcing business.
Hi, I'm Kelly Bretherton. I'm Head of Products for Intermediary Mortgages here at IRESS.
So we're talking, like we said, about tech in the mortgage industry and how that plays a big role. IRESS obviously is a big player in that. So I'd love to hear, just before we start into it, how does that what does tech in the mortgage industry look like for you guys at the moment?
So for me personally, in my role with speaking to distribution partners day in, day out and trying to sell our solutions, tech for us is an enabler to ensure that brokers are adopting the technology and using it to their best capabilities. However, I do feel that there is a reticence to adopt technology. Some people are afraid of it. Some people don't know how best to use it. And that's one of our challenges, is adoption and ensuring that people get the most from it.
There's lots going on in the industry at the moment, and we've invested heavily into our products at IRESS. So we've got a well-known product out there in the marketplace called TriGold, and we're moving our users over onto Xplan Mortgage, which is our online version of the mortgage sourcing product. As Warren mentioned, adoption is a challenge for us. What we're doing is trying to make everything that we put into Xplan Mortgage easier for the broker to use, to enable them to do their job more easily day to day. An example of that is connectivity. So that's taking the data that they enter into Xplan Mortgage and pass that through to the lenders in terms of the application process. So it saves them having to rekey data, but as we've said, it's just an adoption challenge.
I've definitely seen, from my perspective, I've seen product adoption. In fact, we spoke about this previously, this reluctance in the industry to adopt tech. You said about TriGold, many people do love TriGold, and there is a reluctance to potentially take new stuff on. Why do you think that's the case? Well, for either one of you, why do you think that is, that people are reluctant to adopt tech in a very technologically advanced era?
Yeah, people know what they know, and sometimes are scared of change. I'm an iPhone user. I don't ever want anything that's not an iPhone. So I think that's similar for someone that's used TriGold for 25, 30 years. I'm going to have to invest some time to learn a new product. We can tell someone that it's going to change, revolutionize the way they do business. It's going to save them lots of time and effort, but they've got to invest that time up front. So I think there's a nervousness around learning something new and having to then roll that out across an organization. And that can be a one-man band all the way up to a large network. They've got to invest some time up front, short-term pain for the long-term gain. I think that's the biggest issue that we see from a distribution perspective is that nervousness around change.
Yeah, and I think it also touches, and you can bring AI into this conversation as well. So brokers are nervous that technology are going to do their job for them, and that's not the case, certainly not what we're trying to achieve here at IRESS. We want technologies to enable them to do their job quicker and easier. And so it's educating brokers and bringing them on that journey with us.
Do you think, from my perspective, I've seen there's a lot of unnecessary work being done by brokers? The tech can absolutely, the universal nod there is like but it's a lot of unnecessary work that I think people don't realize there are just easier solutions available to them.
Yeah, definitely. And the application part is a key example again. What we're finding is sometimes it's just knowledge that they don't know that there's that functionality there. It may be that the broker is passing the case on to their admin, and the admin doesn't know that if they click that button, it will submit the case for them. So it again comes down to an education piece. And so
something that's thrown around, and actually me and you were talking about this, Warren, off there, and I think that's interesting to bring up, is that something that's thrown around a lot is this idea that the older people are in the industry, and because of that, less people are actually taking it up. But that seems to not be the case from what I've heard and what we were chatting about.
Everyone knows TriGold, and people have used it for so long. I think the newer demographic of ours find it easier to adopt the technology, and we would only sell Xplan Mortgage first anyway. So that's where there's this adoption struggle for us. And I think just to pick up on a point that Kelly mentioned just previously as well, is I think we need to work on our marketing as well. So the admin point, we haven't maybe made enough of a fuss about the fact that admin can do that. So it's not, this tool is not, or the software we build isn't just for the mortgage broker. There are elements of that that can be used by admin staff, by support staff, and we maybe need to pinpoint, our marketing efforts around that. So to further education.
And so something you said earlier, Kelly, which is you kept saying this word, well, both of you sort of talked a lot about product adoption, but you actually said connectivity, which is something I found really interesting. We're seeing how important do you think it is now that tech connects to every part of what we do in the mortgage and protection process, that the two together. How important do you think that is? Because a lot of software that I think of and the stuff we use in the mortgage industry is they don't speak to each other. No, the lending sourcing systems don't speak to, not the sourcing doesn't speak to the FMA, which doesn't speak to, all is very archaic. So how important do you think is that connectivity for all of it?
It's fundamental. It's got to be solved. This is one of the main challenges I feel in the marketplace. I'd love it in an ideal world if we had a data standard for mortgages, because it's so difficult. I mean, if we look, there's 120 plus lenders that we have on our system. And if we're trying to connect to all of those lenders, even just for decision in principle, there's probably, 100 questions for each lender, probably more. And then if we go to full mortgage application, talking 600 to 800 questions and varying across all the different lenders, each of them will ask things slightly differently. And so until we can try and work towards a standard data set, it's very difficult to try and achieve.
One of the things as well, this connectivity, you're talking about protection on top of that. Should that be linked and not separated at all? So what I've found is that in mortgage, a lot of the time it's mortgage and then we do the protection later. Should tech try and bridge that gap and make it kind of seamless? For example, things like, the medical questionnaires being at the forefront as opposed to the end, or that it's just, is that something that we should be looking more at doing?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the key things we've done with Xplan Mortgage. So when you're going through and doing a mortgage quote, you can literally just tick a button, a checkbox, and it will do a protection quote for you off the back of that mortgage quote. So then when they go through, they can recommend the total cost of the mortgage. Now, they might need to tailor that as they go through and do, the full fact find, but at least gives an indication up front, right, X amount is how much you need to fully protect your mortgage.
Yeah, that's what I refer to as a mortgage package, and I think people get that.
Yeah.
They miss it, and that's why I think people don't do the right thing by their client by getting the protection that they need, because they go, it's this much, it seems affordable.
And then,
And then it's like, here's another £300 on top.
Yeah, yeah.
And the system can be catered in such a way that if your firm has mortgage brokers and protection brokers, well, you can still run the quote in the background, but pass that over as a task to the protection writer, send an intro to the firm and say, Ash will be in touch to discuss your protection. And I just wanted to pick up on the connectivity piece and protection as well, because we use the learnings from our protection sourcing journey and application journey to build our lender proposition. So those learnings had come from 20, 25 years worth of having that application route exist. Now, clearly in mortgages, there's a lot more data required to get a decision in principle to get to an FMA. But we use those learnings from protection. So the protection journey has been there a lot longer. We're still, I can't really say in its early stages because we've been working on it for quite a while, but I think there's a lot of catching up to be done. But it's fundamental that adoption needs to get there, and people need to realize we're building this technology to assist them. So they shouldn't be scared by it. It should be something that you should adopt.
So how do we, because we've spoken a lot about the problem, but how do we fix that problem? What's your take on how do we fix the problem of adoption? How that, because I think that's the one where, I know it's for me, I talk about it all the time. I know we have off air, we are now, but how do we get people more educated and more comfortable
being
with
part of the
using
natural process? So we've just implemented a change into Xplan Mortgage to gather some more feedback. So when they go through the application process, if they click off to not submit an application at that point, it's just a pop-up that appears to gather why aren't you submitting the application at this point? So I think we really need to understand why the broker isn't submitting. And then once we know what that issue is, we can try and address that. Now, it'll be different for different brokers. And then whether we tackle it in terms of education, might be nervous about transferring the data. But even going through the process, they can still check all of the data when it goes through to the lender as well. So yeah, hopefully that will be able to point us in the right direction.
Yeah.
Can I add a bit
You
to
can
that
add as much as you want.
So I think it starts from the top. So where we have seen adoption from people that have used it and like it, they love it, right? So it saves me 45 minutes per case. I'm on board. I use it. But sometimes I think it needs to come from, I don't know, the director or the head of the network or the principal to say, use this. These are the benefits it's going to bring. Because we can talk to someone till we're blue in the face about all the benefits, but I think there's this nervousness that we're just trying to sell something, where in actual fact, if it comes from the top and someone says, well, look, if there is a lender on Lender Connect, press the button.
Yeah.
And as Kelly said, we've built it in such a way that it complements the mortgage application journey. So we've not introduced anything new. You press a button and it lands you in TSB's extranet, which everyone's used to using. We've just pre-populated X number of fields and you top and tail. So we're trying to remove as many barriers as possible, but I think it starts from the top.
It's an interesting thing. I know I'm a big advocate of process. It's like the only thing I really care about is if a good process is in line, then you should simplify it all the way through. Do you think that there's an element, and this is my opinion of it, I think that there needs to be a decisive decision at that top level of firms of like, we are not doing this anymore and we're going to go through the uncomfortable learning of it. I know that from my perspective as a coach, people are always very nervous and then they don't like the uncomfortableness of that comfy slipper.
Yeah.
But whenever I've seen people be successful in implementing very technical things, they have normally can be a good couple of months of uncomfortableness. But then when we draw it out 6 months, 8 months, and then even further 4 or 5 years, it's an exponential growth. Do you think that's a similar thing that would happen if someone had changed their system?
I do, but I think it's difficult to do that at the moment until we've got more lenders supported. So I think it starts with the lenders, and it's difficult because for a lender at the moment, they're not seeing a huge amount of benefit because a broker will still key the case in onto their system. So what we need is if we get more lenders on the system, they will see benefits in terms of accuracy, no data errors, etc. And then once we have a wider range of lenders on the system, then I think the brokers and networks can make a decision to say, right, that is the process.
Yeah.
And absolutely agree. And in the Industry Voice publication, there's some entrants and lots of people are talking about tech, and even third parties, IMLA are in there, Amy are in there, but some of the lenders themselves are all talking about technology and streamlining the process. Pepper are in there and various others. So we're all talking about the same thing. We've just all got our own barriers to overcome, but it's great that we are all trying to achieve the same end goal. We just need to fine tune maybe how we go about doing it.
And it's how we work as an industry together. So at IRESS, we don't want to be, the master of all bits of technology. So we're very keen to focus on our stronger points in the marketplace and work with partners, etc., to improve that end-to-end journey of the mortgage connectivity.
Mm.
Do you think, both you two, very experts in this space, do you think that there is going to come a time with this tech in regards to mortgage services, not just with what you guys do, but across the whole board, where people are going to just have to either make the change aggressively, they're going to have to do it? Or do you think that they can probably bumble along and just there'll be two ways of doing business? Or is it going to be we're all in on one?
I think you've got to be all in. I think you'll be left behind. You maybe could bumble along, but technology is everywhere. It's not only in the mortgage market, but I think if you don't get on board, you're going to struggle. And then your client suffers. Yeah. We could talk about consumer duty, but doing right by the customer. And I think technology is an enabler to allow you to do that. So if you are still using paper and pen and whatever else, is the customer really getting the best? And when the mini budget and all of this, the rate of change in the mortgage market was catastrophic. We struggled to keep everything up to date. We did, but then the client then has to adapt. Then the end customer has to adapt. And technology streamlines all of that. So,
and I think with any tech, there is always a tipping point, and then it just becomes, the natural process for the brokers to go through. That was something I mentioned in my article in Industry Voice. So I think naturally it will get to there, and we have seen it in the protection market as well. So the mortgage market is still quite dated, I feel, in terms of technology. In protection market, we've seen this exact same process with applications, and then that will move to an online application process. It just feels slower in the mortgage market.
It's really weird. You said I do think I think it feels slower in the mortgage market. It also feels slower. It feels faster in the wealth market as well.
Yeah.
So wealth and protection for some reason, and I don't know why. So if anyone's got an answer, I'd love to know.
Yeah.
But it is for some reason I do find that it's a slower adoption, specifically in mortgages. But the others definitely are much further ahead in adopting it and then seeing the results of that.
Yeah.
Especially as you say within the consumer duty point of view, to give that holistic advice and what your client needs. I think it's very hard to do if you're trying to have to go to all these different platforms. And it's very hard if it's not all in one place, prompting you going, have you asked about this? Have you? I think we need it. Otherwise,
yeah,
I won't take my bins out if I don't get a reminder. So there's no way anyone else is going to do the same, with their consumer duty stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
My final question to you, both of you, is what type of innovation would you like to see in the coming months and years in the industry, or that you are currently seeing? So which one of you would like to take that one?
Go on, Kelly.
So I think we need to do something. The market as a whole needs to do something for first-time buyers. We've already seen a pattern emerge in the market where first-time buyers is growing. The age from the first-time buyer is growing from sort of like 30, going up to 40 onwards. And because of all the different challenges in the marketplace at the moment that link back to affordability, it's very difficult for a first-time buyer to save that deposit. So lenders need to come up with more innovative ways and products out there to try and support first-time buyers. And likewise, then we can then implement those into our sourcing systems.
Yeah. What do you think?
For me, I think we touched on a couple of points, is the collaboration piece. We're all trying to do the same thing. So more collaboration amongst all of us, whether that's lenders, networks, software companies, everybody, collaboration across the board for me.
I think both of those are actually really good points. First-time buyers are an underserved market. I do think we need to all pull together. You're not going to get there otherwise. So where can people go to learn more about Industry Voice? Because that's where, obviously, what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so the hard/soft copy will get emailed out to everybody and hosted on our website, iress.com/industry voice. That's Monday the 16th. And we'll distribute, and there's loads of great articles in there from all of our clients and contacts, yourself.
There's a brilliant one there from me, I think.
Yeah, I think there's one from Ash Borland in there, yeah. So yeah, well, look, and we love doing these kinds of things. We love having everybody contribute, and gives everybody a great platform to discuss themes and topics. So yeah, 16th, it'll be hosted on the website.
Brilliant.
Just wanted to say thank you to our key sponsors, the lenders of Skipton, Pepper and Leeds. Thank you.